The topic of interest is the quickest way to manifest your dreams. Now, I'm going to teach you guys in this video how to use visualization, because I believe visualization is the quickest way that you can get yourself to manifest your dreams. And it's something that is so underused or underappreciated and really needs to be utilized, because if you utilize this will change your life. And the more I study this, the more my mind is blown, and I'm like, why is this not taught everywhere? So I'm going to teach you guys how to do that. But I've got my notes with me because this is really fresh information for me, so you're gonna have to really bear with me and be patient with me as I explain all this to you. So let's begin. So the first reason why you need to learn to visualize is this, right? You have to understand this. Like 95% of what we do, or 95% of our behavior, is controlled by a subconscious mind. That's a big chunk. So in order for you to change your life, in order for you to become successful in any field that you want to develop in, you must learn to imprint, or you must learn to influence your subconscious mind. You're gonna have to do that. And everybody who has been successful in the past has learned to influence the subconscious mind, whether they are aware of it or not. Okay? Now, the subconscious mind speaks in the language of emotion. Okay? So it's emotional imprints that affect it the most. And the two ways, or in my opinion, the two most powerful ways in order to influence your subconscious mind are through this. So through number one, auto-suggestion. And auto-suggestion is pretty much your self-suggestion through the use of you repeating certain thoughts, or repeating certain ideas to yourself over and over again, repeating certain beliefs to yourself over and over again. That gets into your subconscious mind. And the second way is through the use of visualization. And I believe this is the most powerful way, and I'll tell you why in a second. Okay? Now, you have to understand that your mind can't tell the difference between what is real and what's fake. As far as your mind knows, like, it can't tell the difference, right? So if you visualize, or if you see something in your mind vividly enough, your mind creates neural pathways towards that idea, towards that behavior. So for example, let's say I want to be good at sports, and I visualize myself playing exceptionally well at sports, or I visualize myself shooting and scoring goals. I visualize myself perfecting the technique over and over again. As far as my mind knows, my mind thinks like I've been practicing. My mind thinks like, oh, yo, he's been out there shooting, practicing all those shots, perfecting them. It's just as good as practice, because the neural pathways are being built in my mind to create that skill. Okay, right. So what you have to understand is this: like, when you have a goal, when you have a dream, and you're pursuing that goal, you have to understand that all your dreams and goals are really just trying to get you to a certain emotional state, if that makes sense. So all the dreams and goals that you have are there because you want to feel a certain way. So for example, I could say that I want to be a basketballer. Now, if I was to question myself as to why I want to be a basketballer, I'd say something like, I want to provide for my family because it'll change my life. I want to make a difference to the game. I'm passionate about it. Yada yada yada. But if I keep asking myself why I want the thing, eventually it'll lead to an emotion. So I'll probably say something like, I want to be a basketballer because it'll make me feel good, or it'll make me feel significant. If you trace your goals, or the thing that you want, and if you trace the reason far enough, you find that there's an emotional state behind it. There's a feeling that you want. That's really what we're all after. We're just after feelings. That's it. We're just after emotional states. That's it. Okay? So when you visualize something vividly enough, it creates the emotional state of that thing within you, right? So for example, one thing I've been visualizing is I want to be a peak performance coach. So I want to be like an amazing speaker. I want people to see me speaking on the stage and really absorbing and enjoying the things that I teach. So I visualize that in my mind. I see it in my mind. I see what I want my life to look like, and it creates the emotion within me of success, or of knowledge, of wisdom. It creates that emotion within me, and because it creates that emotional state within me, right, it compels me to act in that way. It compels me to want to make these videos. It compels me to want to post motivational stuff on Instagram, or things that I've been learning, because in my mind I feel like I'm already there. I feel like I'm already successful, right? And it's the same thing with you guys. So if there's something that you want and you picture it in your mind and you visualize it, it creates the emotional state, because your dominant emotional state is what's controlling how you behave, right? It's all about emotional states. Okay, and it's the dominant one that leads you to the certain place that you want to be. So for example, let's say you want to get good at speaking to girls, or you want to get good at speaking to guys, right? You want lots of guys to be chasing you, whatever. If you visualize yourself being successful with members of the opposite sex, or whatever, or the people that you want to attract, you visualize yourself with that, and you see it in your mind. You see people coming to you, see people asking you out on dates, you see people hitting you up on your inboxes. It creates the emotional state within you of somebody who is a catch. It creates a state of abundance. And when you have that state of abundance, and you're repeatedly visualizing that thing over and over and over again, it's imprinting in your subconscious mind, because you're feeling it, right? You're starting to feel the emotion of already having abundance, of having all those people chasing you. And when you have that state, and it becomes your dominant state of abundance, it dictates your behavior. So your behavior will change. So you will no longer start chasing people who aren't showing you interest, because you have that state of abundance. In your mind, you'll be like, you know what, if they ain't showing me interest, it doesn't really matter, because I've got loads of other options and loads of other people hitting me up, so it doesn't really matter. All right? You won't stick around when people tolerate or treat you badly, because you've got that emotional state of abundance. It's the same thing. If you visualize yourself to have like, I know, lots of financial resources, you believe that you are wealthy beyond your means, you believe that you have enough to take care of all your needs, right? And you see it in your mind, and you feel it, and you feel like you have that success already through repetition of seeing yourself with that, right? Your behavior will change. You more than likely you stop being stingy. You'll be willing to share and give when you can, because you have that belief of abundance. And when you have that belief, and when you're like really living that state on a consistent basis, you will create the reality that state brings, right? Because we have to remember that all our dreams are just leading us to emotional states. We're just chasing emotional states. So the idea is to start at the end. So if you start with the feeling of having the thing that you want already, you start acting like it. And when you act like it long enough, it'll become reality for you, right? And when it becomes reality for you, you create the environment that state commands, right? That emotional state commands. It's all about feeling it first. When you feel it, it creates it. And there's so many people who are using this. Like, loads of people that we admire have used this, and it's created their success. So one person who uses this really well was Maradona, arguably one of the greatest footballers of all time. Maradona. Like, I was reading a book, and it's talking about this guy who was playing a game with Maradona. It's like a charity game, and it was supposed to be based at, I think it was Old Trafford or something like that. Anyway, but the night before the game, they all him and Maradona and a few others went to the pitch. They just mess about and play on it. So Maradona's busy doing his kick-ups and stuff, and they started doing a bit of shooting training and practicing. And he was shooting, and every time he scored, he would run to the stands, and he'd be cheering and celebrating and screaming as if he'd scored the winning goal in the World Cup. And he'd go to the stands, even the stands were empty, and he'd be like, ah, screaming as if the fans are roaring with him. And then his friend was like, well, the guy was like, bro, what are you doing, man? Like, why are you screaming? And then Maradona was like, he turned to him and said, bro, you got to visualize it, man. You got to see it. You got to see the game. You got to see how you want it to be. So Maradona's creating the emotional state within himself before the games of already being a victor, of already being a champion. And more often than not in his career, he was the victor. He was a champion. He did win things. He did change the game. You know what I mean? Another person who's used visualization, which amazes me, is Michael Phelps. Now, Michael Phelps is, if you don't know who he is, he's one of the, I think probably arguably the greatest swimmer of all time, greatest Olympian swimmer of all time. I think he won like 18 gold medals. That's a big amount, right? And he talked about how he used to visualize himself in the races. So he visualized himself winning the races, but he would also visualize the difficulties that he may experience and visualize himself overcoming those experiences. So kind of like I said before, when you visualize and you see something, it's like you're practicing already, right? In your mind, it's creating the pathways to that behavior. So he see himself like, for example, if there was, he'll see himself like struggling with something. He'll see himself like getting water stuck in his eye, not being able to see, and still see himself overcoming the situation and winning. And eventually in one of his races, one of his gold medal races, that happened in the race where something went wrong, and the water got into his eye and he couldn't see, but he'd already visualized that particular experience. And because he'd seen it already in his mind was already prepared. He's like, don't worry, bro, we've seen this before, we've done this already, we've practiced this. Because remember, your mind can't tell the difference between reality and what's seen, right? So he was certain in his mind, like, he was like, I've seen this before, don't worry, stay calm, I'm going to win. And he goes about and he wins the race, and he got the gold medal. He overcame that adversity because he's visualized, he's seen it, you know what I mean? He's already lived it. You know what I'm saying? He's coming from that place. He's got that dominant emotional state of success, right? He's seeing it in his mind. And for the most part, it's something that we all use already. A lot of us use visualization already, whether we know it or not. And most of us use it for the wrong thing. We use it to instill fear within ourselves. So a lot of us visualize the worst case scenario. We visualize ourselves failing. We visualize and see ourselves not doing well in something. You see, like, for example, you're gonna go ask a girl out. In your mind, sometimes you see yourself as a failure. You see yourself getting rejected. You see yourself getting embarrassed. And what does that do? That instills the emotional state of fear and anxiety, uncertainty the emotional state of indecisiveness, right? That's really just fear, indecisiveness, but that's another topic. But indecisiveness, you know what I'm saying? It instills that emotional state, and when that emotional state arises within you, it dictates your behavior. It dictates your behavior, and you create the the environment that emotional state commands, right? Which is why it's so important that you learn to visualize and just like apply it. Like really sit down and take time to see yourself and with the thing that you want. See yourself in the scenario that you want to be in, and more often than not, if you're consistent with it, and it'll become the dominant emotional state that you want to have. And when from that place, you create the environment for it. Because it's like I said, you have to start at the end. Okay, start at the end. So that's what I gotta say about that. All right, I'm gonna stop there. I don't want to say too much, bombard too much into this video, but I'm going to be talking more about this and breaking it down into like practical ways on how you can use this, because this stuff is powerful. Like my goodness, the things I'm going to be sharing with you guys, I'm so excited to share with you. But I'm going to stop there. All right, that's the video of the day. So really learn to apply this. Okay, on that note, I am out. Goodbye.